Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for a deep dive? We're tackling a piece by Mike Boysen today, and it's kind of unique. A blog post within a blog post, shared by Paul Greenberg.
Yeah, Greenberg is a big name in CRM, so when he highlights something, it's worth paying attention to. And Boysen doesn't hold back.
Not at all. He jumps right in, questioning this whole wave of innovation in the CRM space. Like, is it really innovation if it's not truly focused on the customer?
And that's what I appreciate about his argument. He's not just saying things are bad, he's pointing out this innovation loop that I think a lot of industries get stuck in.
Right, this constant churn of new features, new tech, new everything. But is it actually making things better for the end user?
Exactly. Boysen brings up the jobs to be done theory, which I think is so key here. It's about understanding the fundamental job someone's hiring your product or service to do.
Yeah, like what's the core problem they're trying to solve? And are all these bells and whistles actually helping with that?
Sometimes it feels like we're so busy adding croutons, to use Boysen's analogy.
Croutons.
Yeah, he says it's like adding croutons to a word salad. Might look fancier, but it's still a word salad at the end of the day.
Okay, I see what he's getting at. We're piling on features that sound impressive but don't fundamentally change anything for the customer.
And that's where the law of diminishing returns comes in. You hit a point where more isn't better, it's just more.
Cool.
And potentially more complicated for the user.
And let's not forget the sheer size of the CRM market. Boysen talks about this long tail of smaller players all trying to get a piece of the action.
Which creates this pressure to constantly innovate, or at least appear to be innovating.
It's like a never-ending race where just keeping up takes all the energy, let alone actually making meaningful progress.
And that's the paradox, right? This drive to stay ahead might actually be hindering the kind of radical, customer-centric innovation that the industry really needs.
So we're left with this booming industry, tons of activity, but is it actually translating to a better experience for the customer? That's the question Boysen forces us to confront.
And it's not an easy one to answer. But I think starting with that focus on the job is essential. What is the customer truly trying to achieve?
And how can we as an industry move beyond just selling products or services and actually deliver on that? I think that's something worth exploring further.
It's interesting, right? Because we talk about customer experience all the time.
All the time. It's like the holy grail for businesses these days. Exactly. But Boysen makes this really key distinction between selling experiences and selling, well, products or services.
And it's easy to forget that most of the time we're really doing the latter, even when we're trying to wrap it up in an experience.
It's like you go to Disney World, right? You're not paying for the rides themselves.
No way. You're paying for the whole experience, the magic, the memories.
But Disney's not literally selling you those memories.
It's all those individual services bundled together. The park tickets, the hotels, those Mickey Mouse waffles.
Right. But they have to be practically invisible.
Exactly. Think about it. One bad line, one confusing sign, suddenly the magic's gone.
And that takes us to this concept of the struggle stack, which, man, does that ever resonate?
Oh, tell me about it. Boysen uses the example of listening to music back in the 70s.
Turntables, receivers, speakers, the whole shebang.
Each component with its own quirks, its own set of struggles.
And when you add up all those struggles across the entire chain, that's the
Struggle multiplier.
right, the struggle multiplier. Oof. Just hearing that phrase makes me think of every tech issue I've ever had. Where do you see those struggle stacks popping up in your own life?
Oh, everywhere you look. Ordering groceries online, dealing with customer service. Heck, even just setting up a new smart home gadget these days.
Oof. Don't even get me started on smart home setups. So how do we bust through those stacks? Boysen points to the iPod as this prime example of what real innovation looks like.
Because it wasn't just a slightly better Walkman, it was a total game changer in how we accessed and enjoyed music.
And I think that's key, right? It didn't just try to improve on what was already there. It totally redefined the game.
Exactly. And it addressed the whole experience, from buying music to listening to it, all on one beautiful device.
Which brings us to the cautionary tale of the Zune. Microsoft piled on the features, thinking more was always better. But it flopped.
Because people weren't looking for more. They were looking for that seamless, integrated solution that just worked.
Just like the iPod.
Oh.
And then streaming came along and really blew the whole thing wide open.
Talk about understanding the job. No more downloads, no more storage issues, just instant access to, like, all the music ever.
It's a total paradigm shift. And I think it holds some important lessons for CRM and customer experience in general. And that's the thing with streaming, isn't it? It's not about just adding more features. It's about completely rethinking how we get something done.
It's about understanding the user's needs on a deeper level, right? Removing those points of friction, making the whole experience feel effortless.
Totally. And that's a lesson I think a lot of industries could learn from, especially when it comes to things like CRM and customer
No,
experience.
we're just slapping on the latest buzzword and calling it innovation, right? It's about really digging into that job the customer is trying to get done.
Exactly. And I love how Boysen puts it. He says we need to focus on the service itself.
Not just automating tasks, but really getting to the heart of what the customer is trying to achieve.
Right. And how do our offerings play a part in that bigger picture?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it feels like we're so focused on our own internal processes.
Absolutely. We get caught up in our silos or industry jargon, but the customer doesn't care about any of that.
All they care about is getting that job done, ideally without pulling their hair out in the process.
Exactly. And that's where this whole struggle stack idea comes into play, right? We need to identify those stacks in our own businesses and figure out how to dismantle them.
Like the iPod did for music.
Yeah.
Like streaming took it even further. So for everyone listening, where do you see those struggle stacks popping up in your own work?
What are those pain points your customers are experiencing? What could you be doing to create that seamless, integrated experience that just works?
Because ultimately that's what it's all about, right? Making life easier for the customer, helping them achieve their goals.
It's about moving beyond incremental improvements and really pushing for those game-changing innovations that truly put the customer at the center.
And that's Boysen's challenge to us, isn't it? To look at our services through the lens of jobs to be done. To think differently, break down those barriers, and create something truly valuable for the people we serve.
It's a challenge for sure, but it's one I think we need to embrace if we want to see real, lasting change in the world of customer experience.
Couldn't agree more. So as you go about your day, keep those jobs in mind. Keep asking those tough questions, and who knows, you might just stumble upon the next big innovation that revolutionizes your industry.
And we'll be here to talk about it when you do. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
Until next time.